Okay, so what we want to do in this tutorial is we want to have a look at the basics of Illustrator, and I'm just going to hit F on my keyboard so I can move my page around. And what I'm going to do is let's just put a simple rectangle in here. Now you'll notice that by default it has a black stroke with a white fill. What does that mean? So let's click on the fill here, and if I click on green it fills with green. If I bring my stroke forward and click on orange, my stroke will change. I just need to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that's the basics of filling and adding stroke. You'll notice I can also go to view outline, and for instance if I went through, and I'll just show you here just if you ever get confused, supposing I click on this none for fill and none for stroke, it will seem to disappear, but in actual fact it's still there. I just need to go to outline to see it. So I'm just going to get rid of this and go back to my view preview, and what I want to do is I want to bring up my rulers, so I can go to view rulers and show rulers, and if I want to go Command R, that brings them up or hides them. Command R on your keyboard, and what I want to do is go up to the top here and drag down a horizontal guide. Now I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, which is Command plus on the keyboard, and I want to grab my pen tool here. Now the pen tool is not the same as the pencil tool. Okay, so you'll actually notice I've got the paintbrush tool, blood brush tool, and I've got a few other different tools. This is my pen tool. So what I want to do is, first of all, I need to lock my guides. So I'm going to go to my guides and lock guides. And now what I can actually do, I'm going to grab my pen tool and I'm going to click and drag at about 45 degrees up to the right. I let go of my mouse button, and you'll notice I've got this curve here. I'm going to come down to about here, click and drag up about 45 degrees, click and drag up about 45 degrees, click and drag up about 45 degrees, and you'll notice the curve's disappearing because we have no fill or stroke. So I'm just going to go across here a couple more times, and you notice I want to get rid of this. I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard, and I want to go to my view outline. It doesn't really matter for this particular case what we want to do, and I'm going to grab my white arrow tool here. Now one thing to remember is the black arrow tool is for moving whole shapes around. The white arrow tool is for individual points. So I'm going to click on this point here, and I want to drag this handle down, and just want to shift it down there. I'm going to get this point here, drag it over to there, this point here, drag it up, this one, drag it across, this one, drag it up, and this one, drag it across. Now what I'm trying to do in actual fact is to create something like a series of semicircles going across my page, and if I lose track I just click back on that point again, and I'm trying to sort of straighten these up. Now if I select that handle and hold down my shift key, you'll notice automatically it straightens up. Same with this one, and if I go up here, drag this one down, and I'm just trying to get these ones lined up approximately evenly, and so on. So go up to there, we're not too worried about it, but again to straighten it up I hold down my shift key and down to here and so on. Click and drag, then press down my shift key. So I've got a series of semicircular shapes. Okay, now if I wanted to I could bring the stroke here and give it say a red stroke, so when I go back to my view preview I can see the line now. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to do a slightly different kind of curve. So again I'm going to click and drag up here and drag down to this part of the page, grab my pen tool again, and what I want to do this time, instead of clicking and dragging for my first point, I want to click without letting go of the mouse button and click and drag down to there. I then go up and click back on this point, click and drag down, 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 and lastly click and drag down and back on that point. And again, you notice the pen's still active. If I just hit escape on my keyboard, there we are. Now, the question you may ask is, why am I always clicking and dragging? So if I want to create curves, then I click and drag. If I want to create a straight line, I just go click, 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 and click. And if I wanted to convert those to curves, this is where it starts to get interesting. I'm going to drag out this little toolbox. See this bar? Allows me to drag that out. And now what I can do is grab my corner convert tool and click and drag, and these will turn into curves. And so on, and if I click back on them again with the same tool, they will turn back to points. And that is the essence of the pen tool.